So today I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to be a military child and the different things that you have to endure, like deployments and
That was good, and you're right. Messing up my makeup like that, how dare you? Oh my god, that was so good.
So I'm going to talk to you about what it's like whenever your loved one gets deployed, what it's like not being able to communicate with them, and the effect it has on you for a girl. So the first one is deployment. Deployment is probably the hardest thing a child ever has to go through. It's really tough because you either go months or years without seeing your loved one or talking to them in person or giving them a hug or anything. Your daily life is really hard. You have to go through school, and school is really tough. You think school is tough now, just like having to go every day and like, oh, I hate school. But it's actually really hard whenever you don't have your loved one there. Like, my dad is in the Air Force, and he still is currently. And he is serving 26 years. And he is active duty, which means he is able to be deployed off overseas somewhere. So when I was in second grade, my dad was deployed. This was his first deployment from when I was born. He was deployed to Iraq, and he was gone 8 months out of the year. He missed my birthday. He missed Christmas. He missed my brother's birthday. He missed both my brother's birthdays. And he missed all of our holidays, everything. We had to take family vacations without him. It was really hard on all of us. And school, whenever you go to school, your teachers know, but your teachers still are like, we have to get stuff done, you know? So you kind of have to like tough it out and be like, I can do this, like I can make it through school. But your teachers are really understanding, and whenever I was in school, even though I was only in second grade, my grades did drop. I have really low scores on all my testing, and my brothers, their grades dropped as well. But your friends are probably your number one supporters of the whole thing. Like, my friends were there for me all the time. They took me out to eat. They took me out of my house because it's really hard going home. And so they would take me out to eat. They would take me to go do stuff like meet a event and all that fun stuff just to keep my mind off of it. And the best part, though, is the coming home part. As you can tell from the videos, it is the best moment of your life. It's probably the best moment of my life. If I had a coming home video, I would have played it, but I don't, because I told my mom I wanted it to be a surprise, because I wanted to be the first one to give him a hug off the plane. And I was the first one to hug my dad whenever he stepped off the plane. But I hated him for a long time because he was one of the last people to get off that plane. And you're not for sure if they're coming off that plane. You just know around the time of like, hey, I'm coming home about this day. So you show up to the Air Force Base, and you show up to that plane, and if he doesn't get off, he's not coming home. So there was families there, of course, that didn't have family coming home that day, and they were crying, but my dad was one of the last people to step off that plane, and I was the first one to hug him. So as you can see here, this is me. I was wearing his storm hat, and this is right before he leaves. This is the last picture I took with him before he deployed. This is my mom. She hates this picture because of her face, because she was crying. So she's like, please don't put that, but I have to put this. This is my dad whenever he was in Iraq. He sent this to me through one of his letters that he wrote. And of course, this is like all the places, and there's Houston, 2,353 miles away. He's doing the I love you sign. He's always done this to me ever since I was little, so this was kind of like a big significant picture. Oh, you skipped one. Oh, wait, back. There should be one more. It's like, there you go. There. Okay, so communication. Communication, you don't get a lot of it. Letters typically take about a few weeks, and packages can take from like 4 weeks to a couple months to get there, just depending on the package size and where it's going. So my dad was in Iraq. He was in a town just off Baghdad. We're not really allowed to know. He's not allowed to give us his exact position, just for safety reasons. This was his address. This is where we sent all of his letters and his packages. Now, my letters I wrote to him what I did at school and the time period between our letters. So it could be a few weeks that I didn't get a letter from him. So I would write to him like, oh hey Dad, like I did this in school, and like I was in the school play my second grade year. So I told him, hey, I made it to the school play and all of this stuff. All the little drawings, because second grade you went to art class, right?
Yeah.
So all of like the little drawings that you did in art class, I sent them over to him. He missed my first day of school, so my mom made copies of the first day of school paperwork and sent it to him. So it would make him feel like he was actually here. In the packages, y'all are gonna think this is really weird, but in the packages, soldiers really love magic 8 balls for some reason. They love magic 8 balls, like those are the thing. So like they have little bitty pink ones for like Valentine's Day and all that stuff. We sent them in the packages, and they would write back to us and be like, send us more, please, because they loved those. They loved cards, playing cards, Hot Wheels. Those were a big deal. Hot Wheels were a big deal. I don't know why. It's just because they didn't have much to do, and what they could have was very minimal. So we tried to fit as much as we could in there without pushing the limits. So cards, 8 balls, Hot Wheels, all that stuff. They loved it. This is my dad's barrack. This is where he stayed. This right here is a cot. You didn't get a bed, it was a cot. This is uniform. These are our pictures of me and my brothers, my mom, and just my family in general. We would send him pictures, and he actually sent me pictures back, or the pictures that he sent back to us. My mom scanned them on the computer, and she put them out just like this. And I wish I had it here, but I couldn't find it. It was like a little clear folder, and she slid those pictures in there, and that was all I had of him. That was it. So I would take those pictures with me everywhere. I took them to school. They stayed in my backpack. When I went to PE, they stayed in PE with me. When I went to art class, they were there, right there. Dance class, every time I went to dance practice, they were sitting in the front of the room while I was dancing. They were always there. I always had them with me. We could not leave the house without them. I always had them. Okay, the effect it has on the effect it has on a child is really hard. Like my life would be so much different if he wouldn't have gone. If his orders would have gotten changed and he would have been called to stay home, I would have gone. My life and the way I am today would have been completely different. I'm very humble now. I always have been, but even more now that I don't take my parents for granted. I know all the teenagers typically are like, oh, I can't stand my parents, they're being really irritating, and I wish they would just go away and all this stuff. And even though I feel like that sometimes, I have to think to myself, like, everything that my dad has done for me, I have to keep it, and it really means a lot. My school life has changed a lot. It improved drastically whenever I got switched into 3rd grade. My grades went up like none other. My home life, whenever he came back, was I never left the home. Like whenever he was home, I was home. I never left his side. I was always there with him. And for a little while, I didn't hang out with my friends. My friends would come over, but I would never go over to their house because I was like, he's not going to be there when I come back. So I had that terrifying feeling in me the whole time. So this is me. This is my oldest brother, Steven, and this is my other brother, Aaron. They did go here. They graduated a while ago. He is 28, and he just turned 26 recently. So we're 9 and 11 years apart. And this is a picture of me at my first communion. My dad missed my first communion. So this is a picture that we sent him, and actually my brothers were on their way to prom. So this was the morning.
Oh my God.
This is the morning of prom. They're ready for prom. So after this, I changed and we went home, and I opened my gifts for my family and everything. And then we went and picked up their dates, and we took them, or they went to prom.
That's awesome.
This is my first
y'all have the same parents, right?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, some people think that y'all are step kid, but y'all are the same.
No, we're the same kids.
They just
actually family friends thought for the longest time that my parents were divorced because they never saw them together. And if they were together, it was like my mom was taking them to practice and my dad was picking them up from practice. So it was like they were being switched off. But yes, they are my parents.
So you're the baby?
Yes, I'm the baby of the family.
Ah, okay.
This is me, my first day of school. And for my brother Aaron, well, I'll start with Steven. So Steven's the oldest. He, when he was born, he was actually born in Florida. He was not born here in Texas. My dad was stationed in Florida. My mom was pregnant. And she said, I'm not leaving you, I'm going with you. So he was actually born on an Air Force base in Florida. From Florida, my parents moved back to Texas. After Texas, my dad was stationed in Turkey. In Turkey, my brother Aaron was born. He was still a citizen, even though he's born over there, because he was born on an Air Force base. So the first 4 years of Aaron's life, he did not know my dad, because my dad worked nights. So he would come home, well, he worked all day. So he would go to work, and he would be gone either 24 hours, 36 hours, 2 hours. It was different all the time. So the first 4 years of his life, he had no idea who my dad was. And he only saw pictures, and he was actually scared of him whenever they first actually worked together. He was actually like really scared of him.
Wow.
My mom wasn't originally going to go to Turkey, but whenever she found out she was pregnant with my brother, she was like, I'm not leaving you, I'm not going to be pregnant and living with my mom. So she's like, I'm going with you. So my mom lived in Turkey, and she said it was the worst experience of her life. She never wants to go back. She said it was super dirty, and the people there were not very nice. And the first place that she went to, actually someone got stabbed.
Oh my God.
So, and my brother was there, so he was like scarred for life. So yeah, so I was the lucky one, and I only had to go through Iraq. My dad was stationed in Guam for 2 months, so it wasn't that bad. And he's been all over the world for weeks at a time or days at a time, but he's never been anywhere big since my 2nd grade, so I've been fortunate. So I encourage you to really support your troops because they do a lot for us. And I really hope you don't take your parents for granted as much as you think you do. You actually take them a lot for granted, and they actually do so much for you, especially your troops. And only 4 people out of the 12 people that were polled said they had family in the military. So thank you, and I have one last video. If you'd like to see
Okay,
it.
show it, yeah. You just want my makeup all off.
This one's actually a song, and it actually has messages to the troops in it.
Oh,
So-
cool.